So, people, I just read that African Americans are 20% more likely to experience serious mental health problems than the general population. Something's wrong with that. That's not right. That's a problem. Let's discuss it. Okay, so according to the Anxiety and Depression Association of America, although anyone can develop mental health problems, African Americans sometimes experience more severe forms of mental health conditions due to unmet needs and other barriers. According to the Health and Human Services Office of Minority Health, African Americans are 20% more likely to experience serious mental health problems than the general population. In the African American community, people often misunderstand what a mental health condition is, and therefore the subject is uncommon and it can go overlooked. Lack of understanding on this subject causes many to believe that a mental health condition is a personal weakness or a form of punishment. Many African Americans have trouble recognizing the signs and health conditions, such as anxiety and depression, which leads them to underestimating the effects of mental health issues and to seek treatment because of some of the stigma still associated and some of the shame still associated with such conditions in their community. So this is stopping people from actually getting the help that they need, all because we've put a stigma on it. Okay, people, so with all of that being said, I would like to share with you a book that I have been reading. The name of the book is called The Introvert's Guide to Professional Success, and this book is written by Joyce Shelleman. It's going to touch base with social anxiety. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dig into that book because I think that it may be helpful considering what we've just discussed. The Introvert's Guide to Professional Success. How to let your quiet competence be your career advantage. A program to leverage your strengths. Written by Joyce Shelleman, Ph.D. Chapter 30. Social Anxiety. Nothing to shy away from. What would happen if you were hiking in the woods and came face to face with a bear? If you're like most people, your eyes would widen and your heartbeat would race. You might crouch a bit and look around for an escape. You might run. We are all familiar with this so-called fight or flight response, which is simply Mother Nature's way of protecting us from harm. At work, however, when there are no bears for miles around, the fight or flight response induced by social anxiety is a burden, not a lifesaver. Who don't suffer from social anxiety, a networking function, a team meeting, an important presentation, or a telephone call to a client is a simple professional situation engendering no cause for alarm. Only those who suffer social anxiety can see the threat. Only they experience the same physiological response that arises when we are faced by a bear. Approximately 15 million people in the U.S., the majority of whom are introverts, experience social anxiety each year, making it the third most common psychological problem. Put simply, social anxiety is a fear arising in response to interactions, or even the anticipation of interactions, with others. Although it can be misdiagnosed as depression, panic disorder, or some other malady, social anxiety happens to people who are quite normal when they are alone. If you experience social anxiety, you may appear withdrawn, aloof, or unfriendly, but what you feel inside is a fear, which you know is irrational, but a fear of being watched or judged by others. You may feel trapped by this fear. It may keep you from being more outgoing and seeking leadership roles or other professional opportunities that require interactions with others. You are likely to dislike networking and introductions, speaking out in meetings, being observed at your work, making small talk with colleagues, or negotiating a host of other similar social encounters. Your dislike is similar to what many other introverts feel, but your feelings in these situations can range from a racing heartbeat to dry mouth, blushing, sweating, tremors, tightness of breath, shaky speech, an inability to think, and outright terror. If you've experienced social anxiety, you know that it can be debilitating. It can combine with your introversion to make a powerful cocktail, and you may feel hopeless to deal with its effects. But the good news is that social anxiety can be treated quite successfully. Research shows that cognitive behavioral therapy, otherwise known as CBT, can successfully alter what you feel, think, and do when faced with fearful interactions. Once you initiate that change, the world opens up and you can do virtually anything you want to do that requires social interaction to succeed. Given this high success rate, I believe it's important that you address any social anxiety issues with a professionally qualified CBT psychotherapist. My own experience with social anxiety is a case in point. As a young adult, I suffered from a severe public speaking phobia that went beyond normal anxiety. My heart would race, my voice would quiver, I could not catch my breath, my body would shake, and so on. It was embarrassing and difficult, to say the least, but I could not overcome it. Of course, we have such reactions. We intensify the problem by avoiding situations that evoke the response. The less we do it, the less chance we have to overcome the fear. As Russ Harris writes in his book, The Happiness Trap, the more importance we place on avoiding anxiety, the more we develop anxiety about anxiety, thereby exacerbating it. It's a vicious cycle. I did the avoidance and exacerbating parts pretty well. As a graduate student, however, I had an opportunity to participate in a research study on the use of CBT to deal with such phobias. Under the guidance of a psychologist, I was strapped to monitors and underwent intensive therapy sessions, practicing public speaking under time pressure and visualizing the worst possible situations that scared me. What I learned is that our bodies will not stay in fight or flight mode for extended periods of time. As I gradually discovered that the physiological arousal would eventually decline, I was able to develop confidence to make presentations. Did I still get nervous? Of course. Any good actor will tell you that a bit of stage fright keeps you at your best. But my fright was no longer so oppressive that it rendered me dysfunctional and unable to perform well. I learned that my symptoms would subside and I could speak with ease. I cannot adequately convey how positively this discovery changed my life. I was able to learn to be a good speaker, a successful professor, and much more as a result of my CBT experience. I have little doubt that you too can conquer your social anxiety with CBT. If you suffer from this type of intense anxiety in any situation, I urge you to see a psychotherapist for help. Look for someone who specializes in CBT for social anxiety. If the first one doesn't click with you, keep looking until you find someone who does. You can find relief, and it won't take years of psychoanalysis to achieve it. In the meantime, here are some basic steps to try on your own, adopted from The Happiness Trap. Guys, I will include this, we'll take a pause right here, and I will include the steps to help you to manage your anxiety as written from The Happiness Trap. I will include those in the description or comments below. Feel free to take a look at that, peruse over it, take note of it, and I'm hoping that this will help you out in your journey to a better mental health. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.